Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be testing out yet another foundation, and this week I'm going to be testing out the Fenty Beauty Easy Drop Blurring Skin Tint. I've heard a lot about this and I thought I would put it to the test. This is going to be sort of a first, second impression type of video. I'll explain a little bit more about that later, but I will also be performing an 8-hour wear test so you can see how this holds up throughout the day. And in addition to this, I'm also going to be testing out the REFY Brow Sculpt. Just like I did with the ABH Brow Freeze, I'm going to be testing this against my tried and true brow soap so you can see if this is worth the money and how it lasts throughout the day. So if you want to see how both of these products work, then please keep watching. So I actually already filmed this entire video, but unfortunately when I got around to editing it, it was pretty much entirely out of focus, so I'm redoing the majority of this. Thankfully, some of the wear test footage was still in focus, so I'm going to be showing you the results of the wear test from when I did it the first time, because I don't actually have time to do another one, but I will be showing you the application now. So I'll share with you what my first impressions were, but I will also give you any updates if there are any changes between that application and this application. And just in case you are new here and you don't know, I do have dry and dehydrated skin, but just so you have that in mind for when I'm applying the foundation and also for the wear test. Okay, so this comes in 25 shades. It's also £25. I got it from Boots. I have got shade 1 and I wear foundation shade 120 when I don't have a tan, like right now I'm very pasty. But I also wear shade 140 when I do have a tan, and that's supposed to be shade 2 in the skin tint, but I've only got shade 1 to work with today, so that's what we're going to be testing. But if you go on the website, you can match your foundation shade to an Easy Drop shade, so that should be an easy way to tell what shade you are. So anyway, I'm just going to get straight into applying this, and as with all my foundation testing reviews, I'm going to be using the Milk Hydrogrip primer just to keep everything fair. I've got 2 pumps of this, but I think it might be a bit too much, so scrape off the excess on the back of my hand. Okay, so that was around about a pump and a half for my whole face. Okay, so as always, I'm gonna do one half of my face with a foundation brush and the other half with a beauty blender. I'm gonna start on my right side with the brush. I'm just gonna squeeze out kind of 4-ish drops and just blend that in. This is something I noticed the first time around. It is very, very pale. It does kind of sheer out, but I did kind of feel as though I was left looking quite ghostly. So I think shade 2 would probably suit me better. Even though it is light coverage, you can still kind of, it still gives you a tint. That is just something to bear in mind. I actually think 4 drops might have been a tiny bit too much just for half of my face. I don't know how well you can tell, but on my viewfinder, it looks as though I've painted half my face white. I also remember when I was editing this back, it looked really nice on camera, but I'm just gonna say it now, I hate this. I absolutely hate this. I hated it the first time I put it on, and I hate it again today. Okay, I know I said I have dry and dehydrated skin, but my skin isn't flaky. It's not really obviously dry. Most of the time, once I've done my skincare, my skin actually looks very hydrated and glowy and nice. But this just clings to texture and dry patches and makes me look so crusty. I'm gonna try and get a close-up so you can see what my normal skin looks like and what it looks like with the foundation on this side. It looks horrible. It looks really horrible on my skin. So this is my skin, just normal. This is the side with no skin tint. I don't think it looks particularly dry. I think it looks pretty good. This is the side with the skin tint. And if you can see just here, like how cracked and dry and see under my eye. And if you look over here, like, am I just imagining things? Do I actually have horrifically dry skin and I just don't know it? It looks pretty good on my forehead. You can kind of see it catching around my eyebrows, but my forehead itself looks alright. It did the first time as well, but just see all this dryness and all this texture and how it kind of clings. Especially around my nose, it just, ugh. not my fave. I'll show you how it looks with the Beauty Blender now. So hopefully you could tell what I meant from that close up, but yeah, I hate the way it looks on my skin, and I really didn't like it the first time either. So I'm gonna do the same on this side. I might do just a tiny bit less because it did feel like just a bit too much on this side. I'm also then going to blend out the brush side with my sponge as I usually do to get rid of any brush marks. So this definitely does apply better with a sponge. So if your skin is remotely even the tiniest bit on the dry side, I would suggest using a sponge. It does look a lot better, but it's still not great around my nose. It is also slightly less coverage, which I guess if you're using this, you're not particularly looking for that kind of coverage. But if you were looking for the more medium end of the spectrum in terms of coverage, then a brush would be better, except you get this nastiness. I'll give you another close-up so you can see the difference between the two sides, but it is actually quite stark, and I don't typically find that with foundations. I find that the brush side is usually slightly better coverage and the sponge side is usually that little bit more flawless, but usually you can't tell the difference, but with this you definitely can. So let me just zoom you in and you can take another look. So this is the Beauty Blender side. As you can see, it's not half as dry, but my nose still isn't particularly happy. It's done a little bit to cover up my spots. My redness definitely looks like it's gone down quite a lot, but my nose just doesn't look good. And then if I just look straight ahead, you can see that texture on my nose, and you can really see it on this side of my face compared to this side. This side is a lot smoother. This side not so much. So before I tried this for the first time, I actually didn't watch any review videos because I wanted this to be all my own opinions. But once I had tried it out for myself and made up my own mind, I did see that some people had similar issues. So I don't think it's just me or the way I'm applying it. So the other thing I wanted to test was how well I could build this product up, particularly on my chin where I have a few new friends. So I'm gonna do that again for you now, and I'm just going to use a sponge this time because I don't want to go down the brush route again. I'll just do a little line there. I'm gonna see, this is probably a terrible idea, but I'm just gonna see if I can fix my nose. Okay, let's start with the chin. I'm just gonna pat off the excess because I actually put quite a lot on my nose. So just getting rid of that on the back of my hand. I'm not seeing any major changes. Let me just see how it covers up these dark spots. I feel like it's taking it off underneath. I don't know if you can see that, but there's almost like a Beauty Blender shaped hole. I don't feel like this builds all that well. I feel like it just sort of adds more product. Like the more product you use, the more likely it is to crack and cling to those dry patches, if that makes sense. So I think it's definitely looking a bit worse the more product I put on. Yeah, my chin wasn't looking too bad and now it's looking a little bit crustier. My nose, my nose looks way worse. I don't know how well you can tell from here. Let me take a picture. So I've just taken a picture that I will put up kind of somewhere here. I do think these pictures are making the texture on my skin look way more obvious than it actually is. So that's just something to bear in mind. It looks better on camera here, but it looks worse on camera here. So if you can imagine something in the middle, that's what my skin looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna go finish up my makeup off camera. I will come back and show you how I do my brows with the REFY Brow Sculpt and my brow soap. And then when we're done with that, we'll get into the wear test. So I will see you in 1 second. Okay, I'm back and I've just finished my makeup. I've done my left eyebrow with my brow soap like I normally do. And I'm gonna show you my right eyebrow with the REFY Brow Sculpt. But just quickly before we get into that, I have powdered down my face very lightly using the Fenty Beauty powder. I've also set my face using the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, which is what I did when I did the wear test. I do have to say that overall I do think my makeup looks fine, especially once you set it and go over the top with the Beauty Blender. It really doesn't look that bad, especially on the Beauty Blender side. However, on the brush side you can still see the dryness around my nose, and to be honest, my nose in general just does not look great. So those are some things to bear in mind. But anyway, let's just get on to the REFY Brow Sculpt. So this is £16, which is cheaper than the ABH Brow Freeze, but more expensive than brow soap, obviously. And you twist it to get the kind of gel stuff out, and then you pull it to get this brow brush type thing. So what I kind of do is I use this little bit at the top to kind of just dot that through my eyebrows to kind of coat them, because they are actually very long. They go that way, which is the problem. And then just sort of brush it up through this way. I kind of use the tip quite a lot. And then I use the rest of the brush to just dispense it more evenly. Then I use the little sort of eyebrow toothbrush thing, I call it, and use that to press down. And then just tap with my finger. And that is more or less the same thing I do with the brow soap as well, so it's a very similar application. There is a little bit of smudging with the foundation, which you can get with the brow soap, but I don't get it that often, to be honest. But you can see it smudging with this. However, I've been doing my brows first. I only do it this way around so that I can see whether or not the product will do this in a testing video. But obviously a way to combat that, the same way with the brow soap, is to just do it before the rest of your makeup. But that's just something to bear in mind. It doesn't bug me that much. I'm just quickly gonna run my Nars brow pencil through my brows. Okay, the shape is a little uneven, but I'm not going anywhere, so doesn't matter. But yeah, initially they look pretty similar, they look pretty good. I do have to say overall I preferred the REFY Brow Sculpt to the ABH Brow Freeze. I do think it did a better job. But I'll show you what the wear test results looked like, and I'll give you my overall thoughts on both of these products. But just before I do that, I'm going to zoom you in quickly so that you can see what I'm talking about when I mention how the brow sculpt kind of interferes with the foundation. So I'm just going to do that now, and then we'll get straight into the wear test. So if you can just see here, just there, that's where it kind of disturbs the foundation. And as you can see, I think there is a tiny bit of disturbance just here, but as you can see, it's not half as bad. These are them side by side. Another thing to note, if you have brows like mine that take a lot to keep them upright, you do actually have to use quite a lot of the REFY Brow Sculpt to get them up in the first place. Otherwise they do start to droop. So I have to like dot it on and comb it through and then comb them up. The brow soap has lasted me a very long time so far, whereas I don't think the REFY is gonna last as long, but yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna lean to the side for a second so I can put up the footage of the wear test from the other day. So I initially applied the makeup around about 12:30. I forgot to use a setting spray, so I went for a walk, came back, and then about 2:30, I set my face with a setting spray. There wasn't that much difference, to be honest, between the 12:30 check-in and the 2:30 check-in. They looked around about the same, which is pretty much how my makeup looks now. And then I wore my makeup all day until about 9 o'clock, so it was about an 8.5 hour wear test. So the makeup stayed on my face, and I thought that was great considering it was a light to medium coverage foundation. I thought it lasted very well. Came off a little bit around my mouth, but that was just because I was eating, and that always happens because I'm a messy eater. But I was impressed with how well it stayed on my face. However, considering this is supposed to be a hydrating product, I was disappointed with how it performed on my face with the brush. It was a bit better obviously with the beauty blender, but I don't like the idea that I have to use a specific tool to make my makeup look good. Plus, it still looked quite bad on my nose regardless. And when I tried to build it up, it didn't sit on my skin right. It just almost sank into that texture even more. And I just think overall, there are so many Fenty products I love, and compared to those, this just did not do it for me. I was not happy with this. I much prefer the Urban Decay Hydromaniac. I think that makes my skin look dewy, hydrated, it lasts all day, it looks like my skin but better. and I really fell in love with that foundation. I wear it all the time, and I actually got another shade of it just so I would be able to wear it with and without a tan. If I wasn't getting this to test out in a video, I wouldn't buy it if I could go back, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I just think overall this could have been formulated a little bit better. I just don't expect something that's supposed to be this light to medium coverage foundation that's super hydrating and, you know, supposed to be blurring the skin and all this. I would not expect that to show up my texture and dry patches more than just my bare skin. Like I genuinely think my skin looked better before I put it on, which isn't what you want when you're buying something like this. So yeah, it definitely wasn't a great launch for me, but I still love Fenty. I'm still gonna try out all their other launches. It's just this one particular product just didn't work for my skin, and that's fine. But moving on to the REFY Brow Sculpt, I keep wanting to call it REFY. I don't know why, but in my head it's called REFY. So I actually really like this product. I've been using it a little bit, but I still don't love it as much as my brow soap. I'll put the images up again, but after the wear test, the side that had the REFY Brow Sculpt did start to fall more than the brow soap side did. In fairness, I actually think on the day I probably didn't apply as much product as I did today, because I think even today, just when I applied it, they felt as though they were sticking a lot better than they did the other day. So maybe that's just a secret. Maybe you just need to apply more product. But in saying that, it's cheaper still to use brow soap, and also you have more control about whether you get that weird foundation smudging thing going on. So again, brow soap still comes out on top. However, I do think it's a good product, and it's a lot easier to use than brow soap. You don't have to do all the spraying and the zhuzhing around, and I'm also at a really awkward stage in my brow soap where I have soap kind of either side of the tin, and it's really hard to get a brush in there. So you don't have to worry about things like that. Plus, the REFY Brow Sculpt is a lot more travel friendly. It looks nicer, it's nicer packaging, but overall I still think in terms of what you get for your money, the brow soap is better. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you've tried either of these products and what your thoughts are. Did they work for you? Did they not? Of course, if you found this video helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this video, I do a lot more testing videos just like this, and I will leave them linked somewhere on the screen. So please do consider subscribing if you enjoyed it, because you will find a lot more like that on this channel. And anyway, I want to thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!